Oh, guys, I'll tell you, man, it is so cold in here. It's horrible. It's probably about 13 degrees outside. It is bad. Now, what I do for the winter is I semi-winterize this. I always keep the tank full with my Lucas gas treatment in here, and I'll start this up about once every 2 weeks, maybe once every 3 weeks, and I'll move it around in the garage. I'll put it up on its lift. I'll polish it. I haven't got around to changing the transmission fluid yet, or the primary fluid. I have the oils. But what happened when I was walking my dog, and when I was walking Keith in downtown Pittsburgh, I pulled the ligament in my left heel, and I'm limping. And I just I'm not capable of doing much right now. I feel like I'm like 88 years old. So once that heals, I'm going to I'll take the rear fender off, and I'm going to start finishing the rear fender, and we'll change the transmission oil. While I have the rear fender off, I'm going to decide what I want to do with it, whether it's flames or a mural. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to manually clean out the compression release valves. What I do, even though they're electric and they work, sometimes they stick. They have stuck on me before, especially on short rides. It seems like when I go out for a short ride and then I go to start it, one of them sticks. So I got to hold it in, and then the bike starts without a problem. So that's why what I like to do is every once in a while I like to hold them in for like 1 or 2 minutes per valve. I think what I'm going to do too is I'm going to buy some Seafoam, put some Seafoam in the tank, and I'll run maybe a couple tank fulls with the Seafoam treatment through it. Once next year comes around, that would be like 5 months from now. So I'm going to start this up right now, and we're going to clean out those compression release valves a little bit. Man, is it bad? It is so cold. You know what? Before this shorts out, as I can tell you exactly what's going to happen. You know what? Let me take these off. I'll put my seat on. Let me put my piece of wood back here so I don't have to hold the brake. Nothing easy, guys. Oh, man, is the seat cold? It is cold. Can you guys hear that? You guys hear how it changed sound when I was holding both compression release valves down? All right, now let's start them back up. All right, guys, come on over here in my office. I do have a heater for in here. This is heated. I have a window up there. And what I do is I'll move that piece of plastic. I was going to put another window in there and I forgot about it. But I have a piece of plexiglass. What I do is I slide it open, and the heat from the basement, the playroom, or my man cave will come in here. So this is heated. There is heat that comes in here. Right now it's probably about 30 in here. Yeah, so that's how I clean those out, because they do stick every once in a while. They are known to stick. It's just like anything else. Nothing is for sure, guys. I've looked at videos where guys hate these motorcycles because, the engine's so big, they're so hard. You go through starters, you go through batteries. No, you don't, as long as you keep up on these, okay? You have to use gas treatments, maybe the Lucas upper cylinder treatment, like the upper cylinder lube like I use. Maybe some seafoam, you might even want to go as far as to take those out to clean them, which I haven't done yet. But it's like anything else. You got to keep, every motorcycle you got to keep up on. So far, yeah, they've stuck on me a couple times where I'll go to start it and all I hear is click. Now my battery isn't exactly new. That battery is 3 years old. I'm going to replace that battery next year. Okay, that's the Braille battery. You can't even get those right now. You can't even get them. That is a 1,000 cranking amp battery I have in there. That's the Braille. That sucker cost me $219, which you can't even get those boys right now. You can't even get them. Now, I'm going to replace that, not with another one of those. I'm getting the lithium battery. I think it has like 550 or 600 cranking amps. Okay, that's the one I'm going to replace it with. Because I heard they're better. I heard the lithium, you could actually let that sit for a year and they'll hold the charge. Even though that battery that I have in there now has higher cranking amps, I don't think it holds its charge like the lithium one will. Now the lithium one, of course, it's more money. It's like $250, $255, $260. It's not cheap, But they last. The batteries last me like 3 to 4 years. I've already got stranded, guys, when I had my Harley because of a bad battery, and ever since then I don't wait for the batteries to go on me, because a motorcycle battery, what they'll do is they'll just go. They don't give you no warning whatsoever. All of a sudden, one day you'll go to start the bike, bam, it's dead as a doorknob, man. It just dies. It just falls right off the planet, just like that. You turn the key and you have nothing. Because they're small batteries. They're not a big battery like a car. They're only like that. They're like a little go-kart battery, like a little lawnmower, electric start lawnmower battery. You know, so yeah, you have to replace them before they go. Otherwise, you're going to get stranded. You know, what I'll do is I'll take that out. I'll put that in my riding mower because my riding mower needs a better battery. And I'll get the lithium braille for that one right there. Like I said, yeah, they're about $250. But they're supposed to be a little bit better. And I think that's part of, because this doesn't spin like it used to when that battery was brand new. I noticed that. I noticed that. But yeah, that's what I'll do with those compression release valves. I'll hold them down. You know, what I do is I put my thumb in there before the engine gets hot, and I hold them down a little bit, and you can feel it's going like that. You know, I don't put a lot of pressure on them. I just give them just enough just to push them in a little bit, and that cleans them out. Maybe some seafoam would be better. You know, I'm too lazy, guys. I don't want to go to the store to buy seafoam. So yeah, yeah, that's what happened to me. I pulled the ligament in my left heel. And it's not as bad as it was, but it still hurts. I'm walking with a limp right now. I probably won't take Cheetah for a walk till maybe Monday. And you know, she's going berserk. These Huskies, man, you got to walk them like every single day, or they go berserk in the house. So yeah, that's the plan I got. We're going to take that fender off. I got to take the electronic box off in order to take the fender off. Because the, hold on, let me see if I tuck that wiring harness outside the electronic box. Hey, I used my brain this time, guys. I remember when I put that electronic box back on, the quick disconnect where the wires go to the rear fender. Oh man, I'm holding the sneeze back. So, anyway, the wires that go from the electronic box to the rear fender lights, there's a little white quick disconnect. That's usually tucked way down in the electronic box, and you got to take your cover off in order to get to that. But when I put that back together the last time, I put it where I could reach it without taking off that electronics box cover. So I don't have to take the electronic box cover off. Thank God I did that, man, because I don't like taking that cover off. That cover is a pain in the ass. So that just cheered me up seeing that, be honest with you. That cheered me up. That's going to make it easy. So we'll take the little quick disconnect off. That supplies the wires to the rear fender. Then I could take that rear fender off. The rear fender is actually really easy to take off. I think I showed you guys before. I'll go through it one more time with you guys. And I got my glazing putty for the scratches. There's a couple scratches on the back I got to take out. And then the metal part where the point cut is, I'm going to dress that up a little bit. I want to make it all even. Maybe I'll sand it down a little bit. We're going to make it a little evener. And then I'll decide what I want to do. I'm starting to lean more to flames because I think the flames are going to be easier for me to do. I'm going to have to buy, I'm not doing it with spray cans. I'm not doing it with rattle cans, guys. It has to be done with an airbrush. Because automotive paints are harder than rattle can paints. The automotive paints will last longer. They'll withstand polishing, waxes, some gasoline spills, you know, weathering. It's just, the paint is just harder than rattle can paint. It lasts a lot longer. So that's what we'll do. That's what I'm thinking of doing. I'm thinking of doing flames over flames, like I talked about in one of the videos. I'll either start with red flames, and then we'll go over those. Once that dries, then we're going to lay out a blue flames over the red flames, and then we'll spray everything with a clear coat. Then I'll have to do the front fender the same way and the gas tank the same way. And then the outlines of the flames are going to be done in a gold. You know, so that should really bling the bike out once that's done. I might do that over a period of maybe a year, maybe 2 years. You know, the thing is when you paint, you can't paint in cold weather like this. You know, you can't. It'll come up messed up. You know, and it's going to have to be painted in at least like 55, maybe 60 degree weather, and that's not going to come till May of next year. But you know what I can do is I can get the fender ready, I can get the scratches out, and I can get the flame design on, and then we'll just set the fender aside until the winter leaves, and then we'll, you know, that'll give me also enough time to buy an airbrush kit too, and to buy the paints, because that's going to probably be about $250 just for the airbrush and the paint assortment. But yeah, as for that battery, guys, that's going to have to get replaced next year, man. Because I do not trust that battery. I got a feeling that it's going on me. You know, because I could just tell the engine doesn't spin like it did when the battery was new. So, you know, that's part of the reason why I want to sell this, because the motorcycle, man, is just, it's so maintenance involved, you know, and I'm just tired of dumping money into this. I'm just getting tired of it. You know, it's nice to ride, and I feel like I'm free when I ride, but I just don't have the time and the money for this anymore. You know, it just takes too much goddamn time anymore, guys. So, take care and stay warm. Oh yeah, plus I got my last booster shot too. I got like 6 COVID shots now. I got my booster. Man, it boosts my immunity up. You see, guys, I got my battery tender on. One thing I want to talk to you guys about, especially for these high amp batteries, these high crank and amp batteries. Clean under your leads that go on your battery. Make sure that your contact areas are clean. What I do is I sand them down, and I sand down underneath of my battery cables, and I make sure they're tight. Believe it or not, these weren't tight. That could have been part of my problem. Man, I'll tell you, it is colder than a Dallas, Texas truck stop whore in this garage. Hey, I got to show you guys something before I talk to you about my experience with these with the batteries on these big dogs. Check out what I found, guys. Look at this, man. This is just what I needed to paint the rear fender. I found this in a garbage. You know how much these things go for? This is, what, about 30 inches? These are like $30 for a roll like this. But what I'm going to do is, when I take that fender off, is I'm going to cover the whole rear fender with this. And I'm going to tape it to the underneath the fender. I'm going to basically mold this paper to the fender. Then I'll find my center. I'm going to draw a nice line where the center is. Then I'm going to draw the flames on this paper with like a black felt tip pen. I'll draw the flames just on the one side. Then I'll fold this. Then I'll cut the flames out. That way the flames will be symmetrical on both sides. Then I'll tape this back down. And with that fine detailing tape, the line tape, I'll just go around the cutout with the tape, and I'll have my flames. They'll be symmetrical on both sides. That's how I'm going to do that rear fender. But yeah, I found this in the garbage. Yeah, so that's partly my fault with that battery because I didn't do no pre-trips on a bike. Probably for the last maybe 6-7 rides, I just got on it and I checked my tires, but other than that, I just got on it and took off. And the battery terminals weren't very tight. But what I do to that every once in a while is I'll take the battery terminals off and I'll sand down the underneath the battery terminals, and I'll also sand down the battery contact tops where the battery cables bolt down on. I'll also sand those down too. And anything else that's connected to the battery, I'll make sure they're clean. But I especially sand down the battery terminal tops and underneath of the battery cables. I also make sure they have a nice flat contact. They have a nice 100, they contact 100%. And also, I do not recommend putting any kind of dielectric grease underneath those battery terminals. Because what that does is that'll catch on fire. That'll create a lot of heat and it'll literally catch on fire. Because that happened to me with this battery. I almost burned my seat. I'm thinking, well, hey, it's a good idea to have dielectric grease underneath there. It'll make better contact. And here what it did is it caught on fire because of the high amps. So I don't suggest any kind of dielectric grease underneath them the battery cables on a high cranking battery like these. Because that battery there, that's 1,000, so I think that's like 1,056 cranking amp hours. Which I think I told you guys, you can't even get those right now. You can't get them anymore. They're not available. They're not either they're on back order or whoever made them, they're not making them anymore. You can get the lithium ones, which that's what I'm going to replace it with. But that one there, you can't get that one, that Braille battery, any longer. So yeah, that's what we're going to do with that rear fender. We're going to take that off. I'm going to cover it with this paper. Then we're going to draw our flames on the one side. I'll fold it. Then I'll cut the flames out because I want the flames to be the same on each side. And then we'll do the same thing with the next set of flames because I'm going to do flames over flames. I'm going to have 3 colors: red, blue, and gold. I'm undecided if I want to start with red or blue, but I'm going to start with one or the other. Maybe I'll start with blue. As I saw a motorcycle like this. It was silver, a silver chopper, and it had red and blue. It had a red and blue paint scheme in it. And I think that went real good with the silver. So I'm going to do blue flames. Then we're going to do red flames. Then on the outline of the flames, we're going to do that in gold. And then we're going to clear coat the entire surface. Hopefully, I can do the rear and front fender once it gets warmer. The tank, that'll be for another moment in time. But next year I want to have the rear and the front fender done like that. Part of me wants to do the frame too. I want to put little flames here and on the frame, but I think I'm going to leave the frame alone. The tank's going to have to get it as well. But yeah, the rear and front fender, guys, I want to have that done before riding season starts next year. But I wanted to touch base with you guys and tell you about that battery and the way I maintain especially putting the leads on that battery and making sure they're clean. A lot of these big dog owners, they have problems starting their bike, and that could be all it is. You might have a real good battery on there, and your battery cables aren't making a very good contact. They got to make a flat contact on there. and they have to be clean. Like I said, what I do is I sand them down. I sand down the battery contact, the positive and negative pole tops, I sand them down, and underneath of my battery cable that bolts onto there, I sand that down. That way they're 100% clean. And you got to always make sure those guys are bolted down. Make sure they're always tight.